It's a harder one to dance to.
It is. Come on.
I guess we could waltz to it.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have to just do this. Sorry, not at all elegant. But I need the volume for something else. Good morning. Happy Friday. This is the end of our 19th week doing this, Dr. Mary.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
This is our 95th straight episode, which means next Friday we celebrate 100. Our 100th episode, which was our initial kind of not at all thought out or strategic goal, was let's just see if we can do 100 of these. I guess we can. I mean, I guess something could happen next week, but I'm assuming that we're going to get through 5 more. So I guess we can do 100. And guess what? We have guests booked into December, so I guess we're going to keep going. So that's exciting. So I encourage you to plan for next Friday, because we're going to have a little 100th party.
Yes, we are.
It's going to be very exciting. So thanks to Shannon Stefke for yesterday.
That was fantastic.
Boy,
Really
I've heard
interesting
incredible
talk.
comments, and so much of what Shannon had to say has stayed with me and has just been kind of percolating in my brain, in part because, and I said this yesterday, but Shannon articulated her experience as the addict in a way that resonated with my experience as the spouse. And I think often we think there's this dramatic divide and this huge distinction between being the person who's actively addicted to something and the person who's watching it, living with it, experiencing it vicariously. And of course there are major differences. Of course there are. But the emotional trauma, the emotional toll that it takes, I think might actually be more similar than I've ever really thought about, which I guess is why an Al-Anon, which models itself after AA and goes through the steps and the promises and all of that, I guess that's why that really resonates for some people, because they are parallel paths. They are not the same path, but they have many shared experiences that go with them. So thank you for that, Shannon. And thanks to everybody who watched and shared and all of that. It was incredible. But actually, what I want to talk about today is something that you said yesterday that, wow, it broke my heart. Because so often what Maz says, I know, is he is articulating something that so many addicts feel. So I want to just play this quick little snippet for you. I believe you'll be able to hear it. I sure hope so. This is Maz from yesterday.
I like to say now I'm a happy, smiling alcoholic, but I was a miserable drunk, and I was either too scared or just part of me thought that it wasn't worth the bother to try and be sober, that I had lost the right to be myself.
Sure.
And I thought, well, I had that, and what I've done with it, so clearly I didn't deserve it. I actually think that's what kept me in that state of being a miserable drunk for a lot longer than I should have.
So maybe you didn't hear that. Maz said, and I have never heard him say this, that he thinks some of what kept him drunk as long as he did was that he wasn't sure he deserved to be sober. Think about that. He decided that he'd had something good and he screwed it up. So he didn't deserve another chance. Not for himself, not for us, not for our family, not for anything. He just didn't deserve it. And that has left me with 2 really distinct thoughts. One is, boy, this is, and I'm sorry to do all the talking. I promise I'll stop in a minute. But I know that I was much more affected by this than you were.
Well, it's not real news to me, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. These two things that really struck me yesterday in listening to Maz say he didn't think he deserved a second chance, that he'd lost his right to a second chance, was the incredible challenge it is to be the spouse of an addict, and the guilt that you carry as the spouse over trying to be patient and loving and helpful and invested and tolerant and non-judgmental, trying to do that because you know that screaming at them isn't getting you anywhere. And then realizing that you got probably to the end of the day and you failed. You failed at that. So there is something about that that is really hard to reconcile. Did Maz feel the way he felt because I made him believe he wasn't worthy?
No.
I don't know.
No, it was a lot of things, and again, I don't really know. I did spend a while trying to work out what started my journey to alcoholism, and I still don't know what it is. It's more clear cut with some people. They can actually define the moment, but I know the moment when I did reach my rock bottom, and that's kept me going forward, or one of the many things that kept me going forward. But yeah, it's quite common in the addict to feel like that, and you know, there's a lot of depression with it. There's a lot of self-loathing involved in it as well, and it does affect. The weird thing about this disease, it does affect families. It's not just the person who is directly afflicted by this.
The other thing that I thought listening to Maz talk yesterday was something that is not unique to having been raised in the United Methodist Church, but is certainly not part of the Catholic, has not been part of the Catholic doctrine. And Maz, being a good Irish Catholic, of course, has adopted the bleakest parts of organized religion. What I love about my decades of experience as a Methodist is grace. This idea that we are born into grace, and that whether we have earned it or deserve it or anything else, it is ours. It's ours. And you don't have to believe in faith for that to have power for you. You can believe in it from a universal energy perspective, from as being part of the human family. I think it works with or without the framework of organized religion. But I just have never questioned in my life if I am worthy of grace, because I was raised to believe that I was born into it. And you questioned it like it was a finite pie. And you'd eaten your pie of grace, and now it was just gone. So too bad for you. You made a terrible choice, and now this is your lot. And that really, really, really breaks my heart, because I know you're not alone in that.
No.
And I also don't exactly believe that you don't still a little bit think it. I mean, you know, religion's hard to let go of.
Well, I think it's easier to. I mean, I try and embrace the fact that everyone deserves a second chance. Of course, you know, and I even thought that before I realised I needed a second chance, which is weird. You know, I still believe, probably even more so now, that people do deserve a second chance.
Well, and
But it's harder to say that about yourself sometimes.
well, that's true. That is very true. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not here to dispense grace. But I am here to say that I do not believe that anybody is not worthy of a second or a 22nd or 102nd opportunity. You might not get grace back. You might not get what you wanted. You know what I mean? So if your marriage fails because of addiction, you might not get your marriage back. But you have an independent core now of grace and peace about you. Peace, let's go with, about you as a human being that you never had in the entire time I knew you.
No,
That's got nothing to do with the period of time you were so heavily addicted to alcohol. You never had it.
Yeah,
And you do now.
I do.
And so, had our marriage not survived, you would still be a sober person. I absolutely believe
Yeah,
that.
I think I would too.
I'm not the reason you're sober. You're the reason you're sober. Because you found your soul again.
Yeah, my inner peace. Yeah,
And
definitely.
that is grace. That's grace. Whether you want to define it in a formal way or an informal way, how you wake up and feel about yourself is grace. If it's peaceful and positive and affirmative. And if it isn't, and you woke up this morning and you think that you are a throwaway person,
Yeah, no.
you're not. You're not. You are as worthy of a second chance, another chance, as all of the rest of us. So the challenge today is to find where you need to give yourself grace and give it freely.
Here's
Give it freely.
A little analogy for you here. I think this country is actually, I read a report recently that this country is actually the worst at recycling.
God, we're a terrible place.
And one thing we actually try and do is recycle people. You know, so, oh, what about these people? Let's try and help these people. We don't really. It's trying to, it's the same sort of deal of, oh, really, I have to rinse this out before I recycle it. I'd rather throw it in the trash. We throw people away with alarming regularity. And, you know, people sometimes just need a helping hand. And then if you know, not everyone is successful. You know, unfortunately, any addiction centre is not 100% successful. But it is for quite a few people. So, I mean, you can't...
And it's worth trying
Yes.
again and again.
You can't recycle everything, but you can recycle some things. And
So
it's
keep
better
trying.
than throwing them
Yeah.
away.
Absolutely. That's a really lovely way to think of it. So that's the challenge for today. Where can you give yourself grace, and where can you extend grace to someone else who needs it?
Yeah, yourself first, too, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people are their own worst critic.
That is also not the purview of being an addict. I can promise you that. So have a great weekend. Continue to be safe. We're all feeling the sadness, I think, over the holidays coming up because they won't look and feel and be like they always have been. And my dad wrote to my brothers and me earlier this week and just said, let's not be together for one holiday to try to ensure that we have lots of holidays to be together in the future. And I'm really sticking to that
Yeah, that's some
because,
good advice.
you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas will not be the same this year. It's okay, but it does mean that we all have to give each other and ourselves a little bit of additional grace. This is a stressful, difficult time. So breathe into it and try to be filled with grace for yourself and for others too. Have a great weekend, and we will see you Monday for the start up to episode 100 on Friday. Take care. Bye.
See you later. Have a good one.